In this episode, I'll show you one strategy that's helped me stay calm when life and my bipolar disorder start moving too fast. It's called the slow it down strategy. It started years ago in one of the most stressful jobs you can imagine, driving an 18-wheeler through New York City traffic. And it's become one of the best tools I have for staying balanced today. Hey friends, I'm just sharing my own experiences living with bipolar disorder. Please consult a qualified doctor before making any changes to your care. You'll notice that I use an AI avatar to tell my story. I do this for personal medical privacy, but everything I share here is 100% real and based on my life with bipolar disorder. Welcome to Bipolar Thriving, a channel about living, laughing, and thriving with bipolar disorder, not just surviving it. I'm in my late 50s, and I've been fighting, studying, and learning how to manage bipolar disorder for decades, pretty much my entire life. I'm not a doctor or a mental health professional, but I hope my lifelong experience gives some credibility to what I share here. Back in my 20s, I drove tractor trailers into huge, congested cities like New York and Newark. It could be a very tough job. The traffic was chaos, horns blaring, lanes packed, everyone in a rush. Sometimes things would just seem to be going way too fast for my poor little bipolar mind to keep up with. When everything around me felt too fast, I learned to slow it down. Not in the world outside, but my perception of it. For example, if I needed to change lanes and the traffic was just way too fast and no one was letting me move over, I would just start slightly slowing down. Not do anything dangerous, like slamming on the brakes, but instead just slow down enough to where I felt like I was more in control. I would just start to let the traffic go around me instead of feeling like I was letting them push me along against my will. Finally, instead of jerking the wheel or panicking, I'd turn the wheel just slightly in the direction I wanted to go and start letting the truck slowly move over, being very careful that I was not going to run anyone over. Safety was my number one priority. And you know what? Eventually, someone would make space. Sooner or later, one of the New York no-patience drivers would realize there simply wasn't enough room for him to get by, and he would let me in. That taught me something powerful. When everything feels overwhelming, the fastest way to survive it is just simply to slow down. Now, how does this apply to bipolar disorder? Well, let me explain. Years later, I realized the same mindset works for my ultra-rapid cycling bipolar disorder. When my job, my family life, or something I am working on gets too overwhelming and the emotions start firing off, like anger or excitement or extreme fear, I can feel it like rush hour traffic inside my head, turning everything into chaos if I continue to let it keep speeding up. So now, whenever I feel that storm building, I mentally shift into slow motion. I take a deep breath. I remind myself, slow it down. I picture everything around me moving just a little slower. Voices, thoughts, even my own reactions. That pause gives my brain the space it needs to decide what's important and what's just noise. With bipolar disorder, sometimes things can really get on your nerves. Just the basic things everyone has to do on a daily basis, such as work, take care of their home, vehicle, or other responsibility, can start to feel overwhelming when a bipolar emotion wave hits. I need a way to separate what's actually happening around me from my feelings. Because my feelings may not be telling the truth about how bad everything is. Oftentimes, with bipolar disorder, things can seem extremely dire, when in reality, there's not really anything that bad going on. just the regular, everyday troubles of life that everyone deals with, and nothing more. But to us, it can feel like the world is ending. So here's what I actually do. I stop, I breathe, and I take notice. I literally pause for a few seconds and think about what's happening around me. I perform a type of mental triage. I decide what's important, what isn't, what things I can do about something, and what things I cannot. After deciding what's important and what's not, I make my decision to move ahead, dealing with only one thing at a time until I reach a point that I feel like I have reestablished a handle on things. With ultra-rapid cycling, emotions can hit like oncoming traffic. Just multiple waves of intense emotion, one after another in a single day. Really, any type of bipolar emotion can feel immense and be extremely difficult to handle. By slowing down, I reduce the chance of getting pulled into mania or depression. It keeps me from burning through all of what I call my emotional concentration. Emotional concentration is a term I came up with years ago to describe the mental energy I use to keep my emotions steady. It took practice to build this skill, and if you decide to try it, don't expect perfection overnight. The goal isn't to avoid feeling emotions, it's to recognize when they're spinning too fast and give myself the space to breathe before I crash. I talk about emotional concentration in more depth in another video that I will link here. It's worth watching. I feel it's an important concept when learning how to manage bipolar disorder. But let me give you a real-life example of how slowing things down works. Recently at work, we had a really terrible day. It was one of those days where everything was going wrong. I'm sure most of you have had many of these days. For me, there was just so much going on that I couldn't keep focused. And because of this lapse in focus, the problems were just getting worse as the day went on, getting more chaotic, which in turn was making me feel even worse. I could feel my emotions starting to spike. It's very hard for me to deal with my emotional spikes at work, but I have bills to pay, so I have to work. And since I have to work, I have to have a way to deal with these chaotic days that seem even worse to me because of my bipolar disorder. So that day was a perfect day for my slow it down mindset to kick in. I simply slowed down and began taking stock of what needed to be done. I decided what was most important, and I began working on that. Now, of course, some people get agitated because they think what they want is most important, and they might fuss a little. But in my experience, they get over it pretty quick. In this example, though, what is most important for me is that I take care of my responsibilities in a logical manner, and I do it in a way that makes sure I can keep my bipolar disorder in check. At 57 years of age, it's become my health that is my top priority because I tend to be around to enjoy my retirement years to the fullest. The slow it down strategy isn't about ignoring life. It's about creating space inside it. When I slow my reactions and thoughts, I give myself room to make better choices and protect my emotional concentration so that it can last throughout the day. It's something anyone can practice, whether you live with bipolar disorder or just feel overwhelmed by life. If you are struggling, I sincerely hope this strategy sparks some ideas in you that can make your life with bipolar disorder much better. If you want more bipolar success strategies, please like and subscribe. Also, be sure to drop a comment and share what helps you through tough days. What strategies do you use that have proven to be effective? Your story might be exactly what someone else needs to hear. I think it's really important for us to hear from one another. It's a great form of support. And be sure to check out the mental health resource links in the description below if you need more help. See my next strategy, story, or helpful insight in the next video. And remember, it's going to be okay. Have a great day.